I think the big thing here is, which is not necessarily big, but like Modern Warfare 3 is a thing, but also it's going like open world in its mission structure, which is kind of interesting to me. So yeah,
Modern
if you
Warfare
haven't heard,
3.
Modern Warfare 3 is this year's Call of Duty. It is, well, it's now
Shocker.
officially confirmed. It's being helmed by Sledgehammer Games, who last did what was the one before Vanguard? Cold War. So this hasn't been confirmed by Activision, but apparently this was first conceived as a expansion to Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare 2 from last year, and this would be technically the first time Call of Duty would take a year off.
Yeah.
I don't know at what point that changed, but it sounds like it changed very late, and this became a standalone thing. The very first time that a Call of Duty year on year would be the sequel to the one prior.
Yeah.
Somehow that's never happened, which is crazy. So yeah, this is like story-wise, it's going to continue the events from last year's one. I thought last year's campaign was kind of lame compared to the first Modern Warfare reboot in 2019, which I thought was quite excellent. So I'm curious to see how they do this. They're bringing back things like Makarov from the old Modern Warfare 2, the whole no Russian thing. If you played Modern Warfare 2 last year, you'd know that the last scene in the game is like a bunch of terrorists on planes with 3D printed guns, and someone gets a text on their phone and it says no Russian, and it's like, ooh. It's like they're like redoing that whole thing. So yeah,
that is everyone's exact reaction. Amazing.
So yeah, I think this game's going to retread a lot of ground from old Modern Warfare 2, despite being called Modern Warfare 3. It's very confusing. The thing that piqued my interest was this idea of open combat missions for the campaign. And GameSpot here, by way of Eddie Mauk, I always don't. I don't know if I'm saying that right ever. Australian name or American name?
I don't know.
Yeah. And I've worked with him for so long, and I just still don't know. Feel very bad. So according to him, these missions will have choices for players. In the blog post by Activision, players will have numerous additional choices for how to complete a mission. Quote, for example, if you prefer to use stealth techniques, you may wish to undertake an OCM, I don't know, okay, with a lights out approach, using night vision goggles and suppressed weapons, and complete your objective without your adversaries knowing you were even there, the company said. However, if light explosions and reckless abandon are part of your repertoire, strap extra armor plates onto your torso and hit those targets head on. Now, that makes it sound like there's a lot of depth to the missions. What I think is going to happen is there is a scenario, you choose your loadout, and then you play out that scenario.
Yeah.
That is literally going to be the effectiveness of your choice. And I really don't think these scenarios themselves are going to fundamentally change depending on which approach you take. Apparently, there will be a number of vehicles that players can use within these like open combat areas, as well as multiple angles to approach your objective. So the landscape won't necessarily like funnel you down the same path. You'll have a like wide array of ways to tackle this, that's pretty cool.
That sounds cool, yeah.
A big thing is that these won't replace traditional missions. These open combat missions will be some missions within the story and not all of them. So yeah, nice. I think they were experimenting. If you played Modern Warfare 2 last year, there were definitely glimmers of this there. I know the sniper mission there that was meant to be like an analog to All Gillied Up was kind of like this. Like you had a very wide area in which you could move in, and you could tackle objectives in different orders. So yeah.
Yeah,
cool. It's interesting. It's coming on November 10th. Multiplayer has like a bunch, if not all of the maps from the old Modern Warfare 2. It's going to have zombies. So yeah, cool.
Nice.
The zombies mode is also going to be open world, which is super interesting.
That's quite cool. Is this a full paid for game?
Yes,
I presume
$70.
So. What happens with the multiplayer though?
What do you mean?
Is it going to be completely separate? Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer will be separate to Modern Warfare 3?
Yes, yes. So it will be separate, but for the first time ever, they're bringing over
Or
all of your
progress.
purchases from Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3.
Hmm.
Which I think is very smart because Modern Warfare 2 did not hit in the way that previous multiplayers did, I
Yeah.
think. And rather than like clean cut people and make them feel like they invested into something that they already didn't enjoy, bring that shit over into a multiplayer that is maybe more tuned and refined that they will enjoy, but they don't feel like they have to invest tons of money into again. So
Yeah.
smart choice, I think. Smart choice.
Yeah. Well, that's right. What is this other article then? Oh, this is just a
It was kind of the same
reveal.
thing. Yeah,
Okay.
same thing.
Okay.
What do you want to bounce to next?
Let's just look at Starfield. That is
Hmm.
that's a coming. Oh, so this is the preload dates for Xbox and PC confirmed. I think I saw it's 120 gigs or 100
Yeah,
gigs.
it's something.
No,
Something.
125.
Yeah, 125. Yeah, that's it. So if you're on Xbox, you can preload it now. Like you can start preloading it so that on the day you're ready to go. I think PC is only on September 1st or something like that. Let me see. Oh no, August 30th. So just before the early access. Yeah, there's some PC requirements here as well. The recommended specs, which again is a very nebulous thing because you never really know, aren't that high. It's a Ryzen 3 processor, so 3600X, which is like 2 gens behind now, or a 10th gen i5 10600K, also 3 gens behind now, actually, from where Intel is. 16 gigs of RAM, which is, yeah, sure. Or a 6800 XT or 2080, RTX 2080 for graphics. I think this is for like mid-range 1440p
Yeah.
running. I suspect you'll need a fair
Much
bit
better,
more to
yeah.
get it going at high resolutions, especially in terms of RAM and VRAM, because this game's loading a shit ton into your memory at any given time.
Oh,
so,
additional nodes, SSD required.
yeah, not shocked by that at all. Yeah.
Who knew?
But yeah, that's out on September 1st for early access folks if you want to pay $30 more, or September 6th for everyone else, especially those on Game Pass. So yeah, this is definitely a Game Pass game for me. I'm going to give that a
100%.
go.
I will get to
I mean,
it.
this is what I pay for Game Pass for, is to get releases like this. So yeah.
Exactly. I would be very
Don't know
interested
whether
to
I'll play on
see.
Xbox or PC though. Not entirely sure yet.
I think for you, probably Xbox, because then you have
I think
nice
so too, because I like
TV,
playing on my
chill.
TV, you know, but it's like 30 FPS, you know, which is not a huge deal for me if it's nice and. I mean, I'm playing fucking Zelda at 30 FPS on a TV, and
But
again,
Zelda's
does not
art.
stick to that.
No.
That does not stick to that. Boy, let me tell you, when I explode things,
When it rains in the upper mountain, that Switch is crying, sweating.
It's like, where is my pro version? Please help me.
I'm very keen to see how Starfield does. I do wonder if we'll ever see them release like, oh yeah, like it's not going to be 10 million copies sold necessarily because it's a Game Pass title. I wonder how
they say number of people playing.
They'll say number of people playing, yeah.
So they did that for Hi-Fi Rush just this past week, and the figure was a lot lower than I thought, which made me very sad. It said only 3 million people have played Hi-Fi Rush, and I was like,
that's
that
criminal
sucks.
For a game that
is
good.
Criminal, because that game fucking rules, and it's on Game Pass, and why didn't more people not play this? Very, very... Also, just goes to show you, there was so much like social media fervor around it when it came out.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily translate into like actual playing numbers.
Look, to be clear, 3 million is a lot, but it still feels low for a game that good. It's like more people should play that game because it's...
Agreed.
It is.
I think Starfield's going to be magnitudes
I think
larger.
It's going to be 10, 20.
It's going to be a big game. This is a big game.
Yeah.
Like people been poo-pooing on it because it's like, Starfield, it's only an Xbox. This, I can tell you now, the masses... I have a guy at work who is literally like, he's told me twice now he's considered buying an Xbox just to play Starfield. like it's that sort of like itch that people have been waiting for from a Bethesda game. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, speaking of Tears of the Kingdom, tell me what is up with the Blood Moon's secret purpose.
Oh, this is so cool. This is like one of those little game dev things that like tickles my fancy just because it's like such a cool inside story on the game. So if you played Tears of the Kingdom or if you played Breath of the Wild, because I assume this was actually done in Breath of the Wild as well for the same purpose, you'll know that periodically a blood moon rises and you get a short little cutscene where Zelda says the same thing over and over again, and all of the enemies in the game respawn. Now, initially, I thought, okay, this is just a way to keep the open world continually feeling like there's stuff there to do. Yeah. Because if you just wipe out whole camps of bokoblins, like eventually there's going to be nothing left for you. You know, the Far Cry 2 problem of things. Turns out there's actually a deeper reason why this happens. So a regular blood moon happens every 168 minutes, or the equivalent to 1 week in in-game time. The reason this happens on such a fixed basis is so that the Switch can actually clear its memory of what camps have been cleared out, where enemy positions are, things that you've done in the world that might have a lasting effect, and reset that so that it can start building that up again.
Yeah.
So some players have actually found that you can force the moon to trigger earlier than expected if you overload the Switch's memory by doing all sorts in the game. So you can pressure it, for example, by having too many objects in Link's vicinity, because all of those things have to be stored within memory. Yeah. So then the blood moon triggers, it wipes out those things. It acts as like a kind of reset for the world so that the game doesn't literally crash on itself.
Yeah.
One documented way to trigger the blood moon is a player firing several opal-infused arrows with a Lionel bow at a breakable rock wall. So a Lionel bow fires 3 arrows at a time, and opals create a splashing water effect. And if you fire it at a wall that breaks, the animations just overload the Switch, and you immediately trigger like a blood moon.
Wow.
It's kind of cool. It's one of those things where it's baked into the game. It's doing like a very important function of the game in the background that you have no idea about. And it's contextualized within the game very well. If you go back in time, there are very bad examples of how something like this is handled. So on the Xbox 360, a very popular example is Morrowind on there. Would sometimes take forever to load, like into a new area or into the game. And the reason for that was not only was it trying to clear the memory in the background of the loading, but the devs actually found a way to reset the entire Xbox while the load screen was up and have it boot essentially almost from scratch so that it would clear certain parts of the memory and allow the game to continue functioning. So there was a whole console reboot happening behind a loading screen, which is why it took forever. But they were like, this is the only way to get this game working.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know. Crazy. Shit like this is very, very cool to me. I love it. So every time you see a blood moon, just know the Switch is being relieved of its memory duties and breathing a sigh of relief.
Okay. That is fine. So you could actually use that. I'm trying to think in Zelda, because obviously when the blood moon triggers, everything resets. I'm like, what would you use that to farm if you could, replicate that? But I mean, you'd need to get a lot of arrows, Lionel bows, topaz or opal.
You're kind of right though. I wonder if that comes into like a speedrunning tactic for a certain percentage category, like fastest run to get max batteries or something. Like use the blood moon to farm Zonite or something like that.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
I can't wait to finish a game so I can go watch shared speedruns.
See all the Links running while whistling for their horses so they save stamina. It's great.
Let's look at Vampire Survivors adding co-op.
Yeah, I want you to talk me through this one because you've played a lot more. I've not like gotten into this game like other people, but I want to know from you if something like co-op sounds cool.
I don't know how it would work. So just for the record, I haven't played the co-op mode or anything yet, but I don't know how it would work because playing this game alone, it's chaotic enough. That you've seen videos. That screen is so full of chaos and disaster. How do you do that with 4 people now in total? Like, how does it work when, do you choose you must choose your upgrades at the same time, whatever. All that said, must be a lot of fun. Imagine just a cool way to like chill out, some downtime, do some runs with whoever. I'd love to try it. I mean, maybe it's something I'll stream future, little co-op.
It's apparently a local option only.
Oh, is it local only? Damn.
Yeah,
Wow.
4-player local co-op.
Damn you, Vampire Survivors people! Why can't I play
but
online?
it is. I guess for that very reason, so to keep people on the same portion of the screen all the time. I guess you could do that online. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's cool is that this seems to be on every version of the game, even the newly released port on Nintendo Switch, which is kind of neat. Also, I mean, you're someone who travels with your Switch a lot, and I'm sure if you got heavily into Vampire Survivors again, you'd like to take your progress on the go with you on Switch. Well, guess what?
Hallelujah.
They are working on cloud saves and cross saves between platforms, so you could take your Switch progress and take it on, or PC progress and take it on the Switch with you. Which
what about mobile progress? I mean, that won't. I don't think that
it will be. So they're looking at moving saves between PC, mobile, and consoles while also adding cloud save slots.
That is very cool.
Game changer.
Yeah, this article mentioned something about an adventure mode, well, teases an adventure mode. I wonder. I'd love to see what that looks like. I don't know what it would be, but.
Do you think it would be more like
more like narrative stuff, like an actual
narrative or objective based stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd probably be more objective based stuff, but I don't know. I almost envision it like you playing through a story and you have to use a certain character and they give you like contextual or like story things you have to do.
And they're like, try and get this weapon or try and fuse this weapon or yeah, maybe. Imagine they give some great backstory to all of the characters. That'd be funny.
Amazing.
Listen, this is a great thing to happen just weeks or days even at this point before the premiere of Castlevania Nocturne on Netflix.
Is that? Oh my god!
September,
best timing
middle
ever.
of September. Fuck, I can't wait.
Can't wait
so
for that.
Fucking keen.
That trailer was good.
Alucard surely has to be in this still.
No, I'm sure
right?
he'll be around.
Oh, I can't wait for that raspy little voice to just appear again. Just Alucard, just being a little sad little vampire boy. It's good.
Little emo boy. Cool. Last piece.
We've got Richter this time.
I know.
We in Symphony of the Night territory, boys.
we here. We there. We're getting there. Then last pieces of news quickly. Alan Wake 2 delayed by 10 days to avoid release date clashes, which makes a lot of sense.
This seemed very sensible. Yeah.
October is a real busy month. And I like that Remedy straight up acknowledged it. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So they straight up tweeted out an update from the Alan Wake 2 team, removing it to launch from October 17 to October 27. October is an amazing month for game launches, and we hope this date shift gives more space for everyone to enjoy their favorite games.
It is funny how in the space of a week, 2 games both moved forward and backward to avoid October 20th, which is a shit show. Yeah. So Assassin's Creed Mirage got moved forward by like six or 7 days.
Yeah.
And now Alan Wake got moved 7 days behind. And the reason being 20th of October is Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Wonder. No one wants to be on that day. No. Like Alan Wake moving off the 20th is the smartest decision they could have made. Like,
but I think it's so clever because it is phrased as a way of like, oh, like we want to give you more time to enjoy the games. But we all know
it's smart. It's smart. They're not like, oh, we're running scared. Yeah.
I think it's very
no. It's smart. They would have been absolutely buried by that. And you know the first week of a game is so critical. So I still think that they run the risk of being buried because in a week are people done playing Spider-Man and Super Mario? Probably not.
No.
You know, and even though there's not significant overlap between all of those audiences, it's still something they have to be aware of. I mean, just listen to October at the moment. We've got Detective Pikachu, 6th of October. Forza Motorsport, 10th of October. Assassin's Creed Mirage, 12th of October. Lords of the Fallen, 13th of October, which actually looks very good. Like, genuinely excited for that game.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder, 20th of October. City Skylines 2, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, 24th of October. Alone in the Dark, 25th of October.
It is funny that
Alan Wake, 27th of October.
They're launching in the same week as Alone in the Dark, because I know they...
they don't give a shit about Alone in the Dark.
No, but they're completely different games, but it's almost like tonally they're very similar, kind of.
Oh, no, I think they're actually very similar games.
Yeah.
I just think that Alone in the Dark remake doesn't look that good.
Yeah.
So I think, if anything, Alone in the Dark is now worried that their lunch is going to be eaten. So, October is a fucking nightmare. But it is the busiest month of the year. Like, November tapers off very, very drastically. You've got Call of Duty, and that's kind of like it. So yeah.
Last piece of news.
Just a quick update on games coming to Game Pass throughout the second half of August and early in September. So one of the games we spoke about releasing last week, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the asymmetrical horror game, apparently very good. Been getting some like shockingly high reviews. GameSpot gave it a 9.
Oh, that's
so yeah, apparently pretty good. Wouldn't have guessed. So that's out on Game Pass. Firewatch is coming to Game Pass for the second time in
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I played Firewatch on Game Pass.
Yeah, it was definitely there for a while, left, and now it's back. I think Firewatch is fantastic.
Really
I think
good.
if you haven't had the chance to play it yet, it is a very good first-person narrative adventure. And their developer, as described here by Polygon, Camposanto, hasn't released anything since being bought by Valve in 2018. I mean, they did contribute heavily to Half-Life Alyx, but yeah. Gris?
RIP. Gris really good.
First released in 2018. It's a platformer with a very heartfelt story. I have purchased Gris on 2 different platforms and still not played it. I have it on PC and on Switch, and I just have not played it yet. So I need to give that a go. I guess I could play it on Game Pass now. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as we explained. And then another big one actually here, Sea of Stars. It's a turn-based retro-styled role-playing game inspired by classics of the Super Nintendo era. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but it looks a lot like classic Final Fantasy RPGs.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's coming day one to Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Premium. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's out on August 29th.
Nice. There you go.
Games leaving the service: Black Desert, Commandos 3, Immortality, Nuclear Throne, Surgeon Simulator 2, and Tinykin. Yeah, I as soon as I saw that on there, I was like, "Ooh, I need to try and play this before."
You can play it on. You can play it
Netflix,
through Netflix, though. Yeah, right on your iPad. It's not a game you need to play, on a PC or a console specifically.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that is news for this week.